I'm no longer bound, I'm no longer chained, I'm no longer captive, no longer restrained, delivered, set free, and free to be me. Let me introduce myself.
Welcome everybody to Be the Light. This is Pastor Zakir Robinson, and I'm so excited to have Tank and Sarah Ackerman back on the show. Today we are talking about parenting skills, and also the different personalities that your children may have. And so if you have a child that you just don't quite understand, please tune in, because this is definitely the show you don't want to miss.
My name is Freedom.
Welcome everybody to Be the Light. This is Pastor Zakir Robinson, and to the left again, I have Tank and Sarah Ackerman. How are you?
We are good.
And so if y'all had a chance to tune in last week, we were actually able to talk about their journey. So if you didn't get a chance to see that, I would love for you to go over to my YouTube and to check out that video, because it talked about marriage. We talked about marriage being restored, and just talked about a little bit of the challenges that they have went through. But today's show, we're going to actually talk about parenting, okay? Because we have a lot of kids. I know I have a lot of kids. I have 5. You guys have 4. And so there's a lot of different personalities in the one home, plus the parents. So we want to kind of just talk about that, because there's a lot of people that don't know how to parent. And I was one of those people. And I want to say that, y'all hear a lot about Live the Life on my show. But Live the Life literally helped me learn how to parent, just because I started to learn about the different personalities that each person carries. And so I'm going to actually hand the show over to you guys, and I want y'all to talk about a little bit about what y'all had just started when it comes to teaching parents about the different personalities.
Yeah, if you don't mind. So we had been teaching Adventures in Marriage for a couple of years, and there's a section in that curriculum that has you identify your personality, and your spouse identifies theirs, and then you teach about how your personalities can impact your relationship, especially when you're under stress, and how one personality is going to react one way and another, and it just was... It was really helpful in learning how we interact and communicate with each other. But what we found is that it was so hard to teach the class without talking about the parenting aspect, because we saw that we were like, oh my goodness. So there's the 4 personalities that we would teach about, which is a lion, golden retriever, beaver, and an otter. And we realized that each of our kids, we have 4 different personalities. They each are represented in our house. And so we would always talk about it in the house, and we were learning how to parent each of the children differently. And just one day, this was not too long ago, just a few months ago, I was driving, and it was just like God just started downloading this workshop, a parenting personalities workshop. And you know how it is with God. I went to work that day, and I just pulled up a document and was like, it's like I couldn't stop, and just typed out the whole thing. And then from there, it really just birthed our workshop, Parenting Personalities.
Yeah. And those personalities, there are so many things that it helped us to really understand. And the one thing I like about it, when you really understand your personality, you realize that your spouse is not defective, and that God has created every personality, and that He created them on they're all unique, and He uses all those personalities. But what happens on the what we call the pain side, or the unhealthy side of that personality, it could rub another personality the wrong way. And in my case, I fall up under the otter, which is, if overall they like to have fun and they like to have influence. And I always thought my wife was the fun killer. Anything I wanted to do, like, why are you always like, you overthinking everything? You're taking all the fun away. You're pulling me away from different people I can't talk. You just take all the fun away. And so, in her side, she's what she's called the golden retriever, but has beaver in her. And I pull that side of her. I pull her beaver out, her beaver trait out, because of my personality, typically. But learning those different things, it helped us in long ways. And obviously she learned my personality and realized, like, he just cannot, he does pay attention to this. He's not just always, trying to do, it just really helped round me off, and vice versa. But I think those personalities, is one of the keys in terms of marriage, as well as understanding how to be an effective parent. Understanding your personality is very, very huge. So during this curriculum, we try to help the parent identify what their personality is, And then you help them understand. When obviously you figure out what your kid personality is, we represent all four, just like Sarah said. The lion is more about dominance and leadership. The golden retriever is more of like they're just more they're more
friendly.
Friendly.
They're loyal, friendly,
people
pleasers.
Yes.
The beaver is more about structure. They're very black and white. They're about order. They are the ones very extremely organized.
Yes.
And then your otter, again, they're just about having fun. It's about it's influence, they're networkers, and God uses all those personalities. And what we're going against when we have issues with another personality, I always say, you know what? You're going against God. You really are. He created him. He created your child. Yes, he did. But what happened, he gives, that's why I say it's so helpful to really understand each other personality, because we do parent differently. And I grew up where you parent just one type of parent, almost like a cookie cutter. And it's not one cookie cutter, because different personalities, you get more out of them. So I'll let you kind of get a chance to say something about that, Sarah.
Yeah, I was just going to really quickly say, because y'all had just recently did one over at Heaven to Earth ministry where you taught the class. And me, I'm like, I already know this information, because I used to work there, but I actually got something out of it. Because I was like, you know what, that makes so much sense as to why when I'm getting on my son Tyler, he just wants to laugh. Yep. He don't want it. He's just he's laughing. He's trying to hold his smirking. I'm like, listen, I'm going to knock that smirk off your face. You keep smiling, But that's just his personality. Right. This boy came out the womb smiling. Yep. I'm telling y'all. No kidding. The doctor was like, I've never seen a baby come out smiling. But that's just who he is. He literally gets in trouble in school for laughing all the time, having too much fun. But even when trouble hits, he's trying to make a joke. I'm like, this ain't the time.
Right.
And then I realized with Zuri, even since the class, I changed how I handle Zuri, because I was in a previous marriage where I got divorced and I was used to having boys. And so with boys, I'm like, they're not going to run over me. I'm not going to be that mama that they telling me what to do, slapping me around. I'm going to make sure that my foot's down and I have this stern voice. That's how I went into it with, right? So then, and when the divorce happened, I'm like, I really got to buckle down to make sure I'm firm. But then I got remarried and now I have 2 girls. And so I was getting on them as if they're boys. Yeah. And get up, you all right? That don't hurt you. And not realizing that's a girl. She's sensitive. You can't come at her like that. And so since the class, I started to restructure how I respond to her and how I get on her. Because she's like your daughter. She's just like Soleil. Right. Literally, I just had to tell her, Zuri, that's not okay. Yes, ma'am. And she gets it together right away. Versus some of my boys, I'm going to have to put that firm voice on. Correct. And so let's talk about how that's been in your family since y'all realized, we've got different personalities that we have to deal with. Right.
Well, one of the main thing that we point to is something that we learned through Family Frontiers, which is another program that Live the Life does. Yeah. And the big thing there is it's rules without relationship equals rebellion. Rules without relationship equals rebellion. And so basically what's that saying is if you're a parent and you're all about the rules, but you have no relationship with your kids, they're going to rebel. It's kind of the same if you think about with God. If we just see God as this big, follow my rules, but you have no relationship with him, you're most likely going to rebel from what the word says. So we really started thinking about that, okay, what is our main goal here as parents? Do we want to make sure that our kids are the, homework giant and, clean room king, all these things that we're constantly hitting them with rules, or do we want them to follow rules, but more importantly, to have real, genuine relationship with us? And if we only focus on parenting them for the rules, then we're missing out on actually having a relationship with them. So each child, when we do this workshop, we explain, what the child's personality is like, but also how would I discipline this child versus another personality? And then how would I build relationship with this child versus another personality? Because the way, kind of like what you were saying, the way I parent our lion or discipline our lion is so different than how I'm going to discipline our golden retriever. You know, I give this example with our lion, because lions are argumentative. They will debate you down. They're competitive. They want to win. They're created to be leaders. So for those of you who know, oh, we have a lion in our house, you have to go to the mat every day with them because they're created to lead and you're in the way. So they will fight you on every circumstance or situation or even request because they just want to win. Now, for him, if I'm going to discipline him, I'm going to be clear, straight to the point, firm. I'm not going back on my word. End of discussion is what I say, because he will debate and fight me all along the way. With my daughter, if I treated her like that, being a golden retriever, I would totally shut her down because she, is a people pleaser. She hates criticism. So now I'll just shut her down. She's already self-punishing anyway. Yeah. She doesn't need me to tell her, you messed up and da-da-da-da-da. She needs me to say, hey, what's going on?
Yep.
Are you okay? You know, let's talk about this. So 2 completely different styles, but believe it or not, my lion that I'm firm and straightforward with, he's respecting that. And that is building a place of safety with him.
One thing that I noticed with my youngest, who's I call her a hidden otter. She's almost like all of the personalities, but she has a hidden otter, and it's crazy because when she gets around other otters, she's an otter, like y'all little otter. She gets around him and she becomes this otter, and it's like, where did this little person come from? Right. And then when she's by herself in her room, I see her organizing and stacking her crayons accordingly and doing it by color code. And I'm just like, okay, now she's a beaver. Yeah. And then it comes to the golden retriever side, where if I punish her outside of a golden retriever, then her little feelings is hurt. Yeah. So I say, you just well-rounded like your dad.
There you go.
She's very well-rounded.
She's well-rounded. Yeah. Me, I'm straight lion beaver, and I have to tell myself there's only one lion in the household, and that's my husband. So you heard me say that. I sometimes forget, and I have to get reminded. Right.
Well, you know, with the lion, it is Sarah hit on it, and I was going to share something about the otter as well. The lion, it is their thing is about winning at all cost. It does not care about morals. They do not care about, faith. It's about winning. And that's even if I have to lie, cheat, steal, beg, borrow, whatever it is to win an argument, even though I caught your hand
in the cookie
jar. And you were dead wrong. But you're going to look at me in my face and say, my hand is not in the cookie jar while your hand is still there. And I'm watching you. And I brought up an example like before. It's like, I can catch you on tape, red-handed. I saw you come in my room and took my shoes or whatever it is, and you would still debate me because it's the sake of winning. It has nothing. It has no morality in it. It's all about winning, and that's how lions are. And so you almost have to really be careful how you handle lions, because if their nature is to compete, and that's why I say even with a little kid, what are one of the things they want to do? When you see a little lion, you can see them early. They'll want to say, hey, let's race. And they want to race another little kid. That's just their nature. Their nature is to race. You can see it early. They always are in that leadership role. My otter, this is one thing I want to make sure with him. The otter, you have to be very careful with them. And it's very similar to like the golden retriever. They have that soft side. And you have to be very careful because they love, the thing about otters, you don't want to squash their creativity and the fun, because they're light to this world. They're like a butterfly. They're light. And with a butterfly, you have to be very delicate in how you handle that, because you can put that light out. And one of the things about him, if I had to discipline my otter child, again, it's about fun for him. All right. And you're just talking about your son, he come out smiling. And that's one indication you can tell from an otter. You can see them smiling you can see them smiling anywhere. And they are the light of the room. With my son, if I had to get on him about something, and the thing about him, you have 2 responses. One, if I get on top, if I say, hey, you were in trouble about this, the one thing that otters like to do as kids, and even as adults, they like to deflect usually with comedy. So he'd be like, I'm about, Sander, whatever it is he's in trouble about. And he'd be like, Daddy, look, Daddy. And he doing this little dance, whatever. I am not trying to watch you at this point in time about you dancing. All right.
All the kids are laughing.
Like, you got to try to hold it. You try to hold it together because it is funny.
Turning around, smiling, put back around with your face.
So you have one side of how they respond. The other side is this right here, is when he gets to a point when I have to talk to him about something. Like I said, you're going to get the fun side where you're going to deflect, or you're going to have this extreme dramatic side where he turns around and like I literally stabbed him because I asked the question, hey, were you being mean to your mama? Oh, no. I mean, when I tell you, I'm talking about big tears coming down his face, snot all on his lip. And I'm like, I just asked you a question. It was not. I didn't do anything wrong. Right. But he's going to give you one side or the other. And that's how otters typically are. They're not, so always trying to find that balance and being able to, you have to be very delicate in the way how you handle them because you can crush their spirit. And what happened when you do crush your spirit, I don't want, they'll be talking behind your back. You know what I'm saying? I'll do what you say for right now, but I'm going to be talking behind your back, And so you have to be very careful how you deal with them.
It's crazy because as soon as you started talking about the tears and the meltdowns, so I ain't going to put his name out there, but one of my kids, it was so funny because I told him, all of my kids know no secular music in the household. Okay, period. It's gospel rap, gospel music, whatever. It's gospel, period. And one day I was just going to his room and I hear music. I'm like, okay, this is music I did not approve of. So I'm standing there with my ear all close to the door and I'm listening. And then I wait till he come out. So I'm standing there with my arms folded, like I'm going to pull out this lion. I got my arms folded like this. He comes out, he go, oh, I said, now you finna get a whooping. Because this was a warning. He goes to this huge meltdown. I know what the Bible says. It says children obey he started quoting scriptures on me. I was trying so hard not to laugh. And he was just like, I know this is wrong. I know God is not pleased. Went through he pulled the Bible out on me. Right. And I was like, I'm going to go to the room and get my belt. I literally went to the room and just laughed. Because I couldn't believe, like, okay, he knows scripture. He pulled the scripture out really quick. Yeah. He pulled the tears out really quick.
Oh, yeah.
And I had no idea until now that you mentioned that's a part of their trait.
It's part of their trait.
Either they're going to make a joke about it or they're going to be very sympathetic with all these tears.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's funny because he haven't done it since. And I didn't give him the whooping. It was just, I couldn't. I couldn't laugh at the same time of being serious.
But see, with those warmer personalities that they do self-punish, like it is such a powerful thing as a parent to extend grace to them, because they're already, like I said, they're already self-punishing themselves. And then if we come on top of them really hard like that, it really is a great moment. I can remember when my parents extended grace to me. And I know my kids know when I've extended grace to them. I just think it's such a loving thing you can do. Obviously you don't do it all the time, based on, I tell my son, he's a beaver. He's a rule follower. He does not, he will try everything to not break the rules, almost to like his, where it's like a little too much of a burden for him. And I tell him all the time, honey, you have enough money in the bank with me that if you do mess up, the hammer's not coming down on you. I know that you want to do right. And so I think that's really important for your kids to know that you can extend grace to them. They don't have to be perfect all the time.
I'm glad you said that. But what happened with the beaver see us how we dealt with the lion. And the lion, a lot of times, honestly, if you have a lion child, they're the ones going to probably give you the most pushback. They're the ones going to give you the most challenging. They're the ones that's, obviously probably be in more trouble. All right.
Those are the ones you're going to be on your hands and knees for.
Yes, praying. Yes.
Humble. Yes.
I honestly, and I with our lion, there were so many times I had to ask for true forgiveness. Because he brings the worst side of me sometimes. And I had to be like, oh my goodness, like I never seen a thing. It's not like I could just isolate myself or push him away. And that's one of the worst things you can do with any of your children is try to isolate because they don't follow your rules. But what happened is that I will share this one part where there's part where we talk about the rules without relationship equals rebellion. But there's another part to that as well is rules with relationships equals respect. That's love, trust, and honor. And that's the goal. That's the part where we want to parent towards. When you have love, because sometimes, think about it as a parent. I grew up with, you need to do this because, just because you're an elder and I'm supposed to respect, and just because I said so.
Respect your
and you respect it. And you just did that. But, as kids, you go on there, you do it for a little while, and after behind, you may be flicking them off when they turn it back. And that's not love. That's not God. That should not be. That's not parenting.
And sometimes you can build up anger in your child just from the way that you're parenting.
Absolutely.
And you can cause your child to be sinning because you're responding to them incorrect.
Yes.
Okay. So one thing that just fell into my spirit is about when it comes to kids and grades. Okay. And so, for instance, you may have one child that's capable of making all A's, but then you have another one that's capable of making A's and B's, and then you may have another one that's capable of making B's and C's. You can't make the one that who cannot make all those A's. You can't hold them to that standard.
Come on.
And so that's one of the things that I had to learn early on, because there is a certain individual where they literally try to hold their kids to that all straight A's. It's like, but this child, can't do that. Why are you putting that type of pressure on them?
Come on.
And so it also goes along with education. It goes along with sports. You may have one child that's really good in athletic, but then you get frustrated with this one because they just into music.
Right.
And it's like they've been created differently. They have different giftings. God installed different things in them, and we have to treat them as such. We have to treat them as individuals.
That's right.
That's why we all got different fingerprints. We're different individuals. Even twins, sets of twins, different.
Like what you just said, it's basically parenting towards the gift that God has given them, and everyone has that gift. And whatever that gift is, you steward that, and and let them and help them understand that it is a gift. And like you said, is everybody cannot parent towards that, either all A's or expecting your children to be in all sports. Right. Even though it's it's good to try to get them to introduce those things, but what happened is you're going to see one child excel in one thing versus another. So
and along with that, knowing how to encourage each child, because based on their personality, there's a different encouragement level. I mean, a lion, I can give a little bit more of that constructive criticism. I can get in there and be like, that was a nice tackle, but I know you need to lower your shoulder a little more and get in there. Next time I want to see this. He's going to love that. Yeah. Now, a golden retriever, you're probably not going to go there. You're going to be like, hey, that was a great game. And I saw that tackle. And that'll be encouraging to them. So at the end of the day, Zakiya, really what it is that you're parenting towards the goal of having a relationship with your kids. When my kids are grown adults, I want them to want to call me, to text me, to visit me, to travel with me, not out of obligation, because I'm one of their favorite people in the world. Or
when issues happen in life,
they can come to me.
They come into you because they know that, okay, this is a safe spot. This is a safe place. I'm not going to be judged. I'm not going to be yelled at. I'm not going to be scolded, Right. And me and my husband, we getting ready to end really quick, but I do want to say, when me and my husband created this thing called the patio talk. And so when one of the kids, or maybe we need to bring one of the kids out to talk to them, they know when we bring them out on the patio, this is safe. We're not in trouble. I have the ability to say whatever I need to say, and I'm not going to get shamed for it. Just be respectful in how your word choice. But the thing is they get to fully be open. And then also we bring them on a patio so that they are no one else that's in the household is hearing their business unless they want to share it. And so recently my son, he came to me with some personal information. He was like, Mom, I haven't shared this with anyone. I just need it to be between me and you. That's good. And I was like, okay, I'm doing something right.
That's good.
He had the courage and the faith to come and talk to me about something that was personal. And I was like, okay, God, I see what you're doing. The work is not being done in vain. And so just last remarks, so I know you guys have came to Heaven to Earth and you presented this curriculum. Is it going to be in more places for other churches?
Eventually, our next stop, we actually get to do this at a national conference in Charleston this summer. And then after that, it'll be something that we'll start doing throughout the area and beyond.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So still being led by God on how we're going to handle that. So, but we're super excited about it. And I'm just excited to do it with her because our kids are actually involved in it. Yeah. And they get real honestly, they get to hear our kids from our kids and like how we parent. And the thing is with anyone, we don't want to be the one just talking about, how are they being affected? Mm-hmm. How are our kids being affected? And I think by having them be able to, people to get a chance to see them and hear their how we parent them and seeing the results of those parenting skills, how is it happening? How does it look? Mm-hmm. Because the proof is in the pudding.
Yep, absolutely. So thank you all for tuning in. This is Zakia with Be the Light. And if you have any questions for Tank or Sarah Ackerman, they are with Live the Life. I will make sure that their information is in the bio so that you'll be able to contact them. Maybe you want them to come to your church and present this. Maybe you want Adventures in Marriage in the church, which is something that they also lead. All of their information is going to be in there. And thank you for tuning in. Again, this is Pastor Zakia Robinson with Be the Light, and see you on the next show.
I'm no longer bound, I'm no longer chained, I'm no longer captive, no longer restrained, delivered, set free, and free to be me. Let me introduce myself.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Be the Light. If you are looking for a life coach, or maybe you're looking for some inner healing, please visit BeTheLight.live. Again, that is BeTheLight.live. And you can also follow us on YouTube for a replay of this show at Zakia Robinson. Be blessed.
My name is Free.